what happened? Was it this weekend? What happened here? We're at Shadow Mountain, right?
Yeah, it was actually a couple nights ago.
Mm-hmm.
He and I were just wanting to have some fun. We were bored because of all the COVID stuff going on, so we just decided to go climb up the mountain, and it didn't turn out the way that we planned on it happening.
What happened?
Well, the mountain, when we were climbing up, we decided to go on a rock ledge that was not stable for people to be on, and when we did that, the mountain ended up having an avalanche behind us, and the whole rock face behind us caved in, and we had no way to turn back.
So, have you been up this mountain before?
Yeah, a few times in the past, but a while ago.
And in the same area?
Yeah, well, not the exact same way, but general
vicinity. We climbed up to near where we went, but we've never been as high up as we are this time.
Mm-hmm.
And did you bring gear?
Not really proper gear. We weren't exactly expecting to go so high or to dangerous levels. We had some water and we had a couple jackets, and that was about it. We basically hiked up a little bit and then saw a cooler spot up higher and then a cooler spot up higher, and it went from there.
What was your goal? Did you have an ultimate goal?
Not really.
No, our goal was really just to climb the mountain and get day gone, because this COVID stuff kept us so quarantined. We hadn't itched, and we decided to go as high as we could, and when we went too high, we couldn't turn back, sadly.
You had your phones on you?
Mine was dead, but luckily his was charged and he had an extra battery pack.
Yeah.
So you at least brought that?
Yeah, I brought a battery pack, some water, lighters, and maybe one spare jacket. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And then, can you talk to me a little bit about the avalanche or the collapse of the trail, because it was pretty significant, wasn't it? It was huge.
Yeah. It wasn't like drastic, but it was this ledge that we were walking across to get to where we were. It collapsed and basically just slid down the mountain as we were trying to get across it.
Yeah, honestly, I went back. Well, my dad went over there and looked at it. He said it was a lot bigger than we thought, because we thought it was something tiny, but in the end, if you go over there and look, you can see the whole mountain face completely fallen down, and where we were, we would have died.
Yeah, the only thing we really saw was the fact that we had that tiny little ledge there that was gone, and it was just a flat face, and we couldn't get back from that direction.
There was no way to get back. What was it like when it collapsed? Was it loud?
It was a rumble.
Yeah, it was pretty loud, and it brought down rocks from above us, and we had to get underneath a little alcove cave thing.
Yeah, so the rocks wouldn't fall on us. We had just enough coverage from the rocks ahead that when they fell down, they would bounce off those and miss us, but we had a couple that got really close.
Mm-hmm.
Did that go on for a while?
15, 20 minutes of constant rock fall.
It kind of died down eventually, but then there were some times where there was this big rock that came down that I guess got loose or something.
So what did you do then?
We decided to crawl. As the rocks were falling, we freaked out a little bit. We were already on the phone with our parents saying, hey, this is going on. We need search and rescue. So they told them where we were. We decided to move because we knew if we stayed where we were going to get injured or even killed. So we traversed along the side of this edge of the cliff, and when we traversed along the side, we kept seeing rocks falling. So we got to the other side, and finally we were in a safe spot, but it was nighttime, so we couldn't really be safe or tell where we were at that time.
Yeah, and just having to basically army crawl from where we were to that new safer spot, we knew that we wouldn't have been able to get down any other way because it was starting to get dark.
Was there a cliff as well?
Yeah, it was straight up rock right above us and straight down rock right below us.
There was a point where you were separated?
Yeah, at one point, right after it collapsed, I was up a little higher on this small ledge that I had to lay down on to be able to hold myself up there, and he was down a little lower, maybe 10 feet away.
Yeah, 15 feet, but where he was, it hung off the edge of the cliff, and I was tucked in a little more into the mountain, so he had to traverse around the top to shimmy down to get to me.
Yeah, I had to have my legs hanging over the edge while I basically shoved my hands into cracks of the mountain, trying to get to him as fast and safe as I could.
You went up to this cave. Tell me about the cave.
It looks like a cave from here, but it's more of a big indention.
Is that where you hid?
No,
no,
we were above that.
Yeah, we were higher than that when we hid. We just went up there in the first place just to get a view of that, and then we thought, oh, let's go a little higher up. Let's traverse around and see what's on the other side. So we saw the cave first, and then went around and got stuck.
And so what did you do after that? You talked to your parents, and then you were doing updates on social media.
Yeah.
How did what was the first post?
First one was right after I called my mom the first time before the stuff started falling on our heads, and it was just, we're stuck. What do we do now? Hopefully fight for life comes, and it was just a heart-wrenching moment for
And then you
us.
said some people didn't believe you?
Yeah, there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh no, you're capping. You're not telling the truth. You're just trying to get attention or fame off of this." And I'm like, "No, this is actually like a straight down cliff that I would struggle climbing down during the daytime, let alone the nighttime." So.
Yeah.
And so what happened after that? I'm sure you're talking to your parents about when the police are arriving and when the search and rescue arriving, and how were you able to like make a connection with them?
Well, I called my dad, and he was the one that contacted search and rescue first. When they got here, I kept calling them because that was our only way of contact, because his phone was dead at the time. And when I called them, they said search and rescue's on the way. They're going to be getting in jeeps and trying to climb the mountain. When they got in them jeeps and started climbing the mountain, we tried to tell them there was no way to get to us. And when they finally realized that we were in a horrible place, they decided to call a helicopter later in the night. Search and rescue did have some loss, one injury of the knee, and then I think their drivetrain blew out for their Jeep, something like that. Drive shaft, I mean. And then they called the helicopter the next morning, and we had to wait till 9, 10 a.m. to get to it.
Yeah.
And it was a little frustrating at first because we were telling them there's no way that they could get to us, especially during the nighttime. And at first they tried going along that ridge over there, that smaller ridge, and there was no way that they could have gotten to us. And then they finally tried to go the way that we went, but that's when the injury happened. We were a little frustrated about how long it was taking, but we
appreciate it still.
we were super appreciative. We were just a little anxious about getting down.
What's the injury? Are you talking about a vehicle?
A person ended up falling and hitting their knee on rock, one of the search and rescue team members, and gashed it open. The rock up there is like, it's like
It's
razors.
really sharp.
It's sharp. We have cuts all over our
Yeah.
hands from trying to get around.
And you said that you didn't see any kind of climbing gear or equipment or any evidence of other people being up in this area before.
Yeah, no, it really didn't. It honestly looked like we were one of the first people up there. I mean, I know that's kind of like a stretch. There's probably been people up there before, but it really looked like
Barren.
no one's ever been up there before.
It was barren.
Yeah.
How did you make it through the night?
Well, me and him decided to get all the bushes we could around the area, because there's very, very little dead bushes. And when we ended up getting all those, we decided to go into this little cave and start a fire. First we started on ledge with the fire just to get a signal so they saw where we were, a better big flame. And then we took the rest of our bushes, went in this cave and started a fire, huddled up as close as we could, and started throwing rocks in the fire to keep them warm. Next morning, when the fire actually went out around 4 a.m., 3 a.m., we took the rocks and tucked them into our shirts and pants just to stay warm throughout the night.
It's pretty cold that night, right?
Oh yeah, it was really cold. There was actually one point that it wasn't exactly snowing, but
we thought it was snow.
We thought it was snow, but it was like
It ended up
ice
being
crystals.
ash, actually, bro.
Ash?
Yeah, it was from the fire.
Oh.
I talked to my dad further,
Okay,
but
that
it
makes
was
sense.
a cold moment that night.
We thought it was snowing. Like, that's where we thought how cold it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just because we were improperly dressed, and it was probably 38, 39, 40 degrees.
Let's talk about the rescue itself. How did that happen? What happened?
It was actually pretty cool. I mean, they came up with a helicopter, and they had two rescuers come down, rappel down from the helicopter, strap us up, vests and everything, and hook us to them, and they brought us up with the line into the helicopter, and then they landed us right here on this corner.
Was it scary to be pulled up into the helicopter on that line?
Not to me. I liked it. I've done stuff like that before, not getting saved, but like for fun and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, honestly, when I was up there and I saw him get pulled up, I was like, oh, this is going to be an adventure. And he was pulled up first because he was the lightest weight one. I guess that's their code. And when they pulled me up, they started pulling away from the mountain. And I was looking down, seeing everything we were at. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful view, but a horrible moment. It was great being saved, but realizing how bad it was of a situation just was kind of terrifying.
Yeah,
So you had medics check you out?
We did not. I declined medical just
Yeah.
because I felt okay. I had a twisted ankle at most and some scratches and cuts, but it was nothing really major.
we mostly just wanted to get home and get some sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were hungry and tired, that's for sure.
You talked about the views, even up on the mountain. You were taking pictures during that time. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we had a great sunset. It was amazing watching that go down. We sat there. I sat on the ledge and just taking photos of everything that we could, sunset, sunrise, everything. I got a horrible camera, but got as best photos as I could. And it ended up being pretty nice. It was just the whole view of Pahrump and seeing how big the town really is crazy to us.
Were you guys scared? Did you actually think that you might not make it?
Yeah, a few
At
times.
first, yeah, because we were thinking, at least I was thinking, that we're gonna have to get down this, and getting up it was hard enough. So I was like, one wrong move, and it was like a good,
It was 500 feet. They said we
Yeah.
were a few thousand feet up on the mountain.
yeah, it was about a 500-foot drop. So if we slipped, there was no coming back from that.
Did you have conversations about that?
Yeah.
We talked a bit, and I told him like if this is the last of us, well, it was one hell of an adventure, and I'm happy I did it with my friend.
Yeah, it was a great bonding moment for us.
How long have you guys been friends?
We were friends
Few
in
years.
high school and
Yeah.
a little bit in middle school. But we just started talking and hanging out again recently.
Mhm.
So
So you gonna do that again?
Not
no.
not here, and not without proper gear,
yeah,
and probably with more people.
yeah.
Can you tell me about your conversations with your family during the evening? And of course, I'm sure that they were very nervous, right?
My family wasn't exactly that nervous. I kind of tried to downplay it to the
Uh-huh.
point where I wouldn't worry them.
Yeah.
So I just called them, let them know the situation, told them that people were on their way to come help us, and they weren't exactly too worried about it because I've done hiking and stuff like this before. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my parents, I kind of freaked them out a little bit. I tried to stay on the calm side, but in my mind, I thought I was gonna die that night, and I was kind of just sitting there like, if I'm gonna go out, I want to tell everyone I love them bye at least one more time, So I texted everyone I could, all my friends and family, to support, and told everyone, hey,
Yeah.
so love you guys. I should be fine, but I'm up here.
What did you say to the rescuers?
we were very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were more of like,
Thank you so much. We couldn't even talk
yeah.
really.
We were more
just so
tunnel
grateful.
visioned about getting down
Yeah.
and getting food.
Yeah.
But
We plan on doing a note and some food to them. We appreciate them so
yeah,
much.
definitely.
And,
Thank you.
You can say thank you now.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to all the rescuers and everyone that was there that helped us. We really appreciate y'all taking the time and effort you did and going through everything you did to get us down, and we're more grateful than we can ever be.
Absolutely.
How old are you guys?
I'm 18.
I'm 18 too.
Can you tell me about, all in all, how was the camping up there?
I mean, if we had like a legitimate tent, legitimate fire starters, like
A good actual warm conditions.
yeah, and more clothes, it would have been great.
It would have
I
been
would have had a
beautiful.
good time.
Oh yeah.
But
How many hours did it take you to get up there?
about
Four and a half, right
Yeah.
around there.
How many hours were you there in
Oh,
total?
that was
24,
No.
22,
We're
12 to 10 in the morning.
that was 22 hours. Yeah, we were
22
up there
hours.
22 hours in total.
There you go.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for sharing your story. And so tell me about your first phone call from your son.
Well, I was at work when I got the phone call, and it was a little on the weird side because I was like, are you serious? And it turned out to be a lot more serious, so I had to leave work.
Yeah, these things kind of happen like that. Like you kind of think, well, this is going to get resolved soon, but you find out as it unfolds that it's a little bit more than you thought it was, right?
Absolutely. When I left work, I only clocked out for lunch thinking I was going to come back in a couple of hours or whatnot, and it turned out to be not until the very next day. Actually, it was 2 days later when I was actually able to get back to work.
Wow.
Because that whole thing took all night long into the next day.
So tell me about the moment when it really struck you that this was something serious and that they were really stuck up there.
When I got here, I've spent a lot of time in the woods, a lot of time on the mountains. I spent a lot of time in the desert on the dirt bikes and ATVs and camping and whatnot. And when I got here and saw where I had them flashing their cell phone light at me, and I found the mountain range that they were in, and I seen the elevation that they were at and where they were at, that's when it got real.
Wow.
It got real quick.
Because you know this area.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about that. Explain how you know this area and how you knew that that was real.
I've been on horseback in this area. There's a few trails back here that you can see from where we're at now that I actually cut on horseback. I actually was the first one to make those trails, and now they're ATV trails now. That's how long I've been coming to these mountains, probably 12, 13 years now.
So you know about what that mountain range has up there, and also how it has all these very sharp rocks, and how it's just not an area that is very stable, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's what we call chap. It's real sharp, small, about baseball size to silver dollar sized rock with sharp edges, and tears up tires, tears up horse hooves. It's pretty ragged, pretty jagged.
Yeah. So your son kind of followed in your footsteps, so to speak, about going and exploring. And so what was your conversation after you realized where he was at?
After I realized where he was at, it was let's call search and rescue, SAR, and let's get them out here, because where they were at, I usually carry like 600 foot of rope with me, and where they were at, I couldn't get to them.
Yeah.
It was getting dark, and it was getting dangerous, and real dark, real quick. It was time to call.
It does that. And, you know, out in these areas in the desert, we tend to have, real high temperatures, real low temperatures. Were you concerned about the temperatures that night?
Terrified, because we had a long streak of freezing temperatures in the truck dash in the morning. At 2 in the morning, it's reading 26 degrees. I've seen it 14 degrees in the last week. We had a freak of clouds come in. It actually kept it warm in here overnight, and it only got down to about 42.
Wow.
But every night before that and every night since that, it has frozen.
But what's the temperature up there?
I don't know. With a fire, I'm assuming it's pretty warm in a cave.
Do you think he learned that technique from you too?
Yeah, there was a lot of us on the phone
Yeah.
back and forth. That I'm glad he had his external battery charger, because it helped a lot to keep the communication going. And I was able to direct him to do a few things. And that whole fire thing, he took that on his own initiative and was able to use what he had in his backpack to start a fire.
Fantastic.
And I was really proud of him for that.
How's Mom?
Mom was hysterical. Trying to keep her calm was a work of its own, and try to keep a level head while this was going on.
Yeah.
So, we were just pretty glad that it didn't freeze that night. It only got down to about 42 here.
So let's talk about the conversation with search and rescue and all the different angles that they took to get up there. Were you helping them with that as well, because you know the area?
Yeah, we conducted a few different ways of getting up there. They figured that the best route was the route that they had taken in the beginning, was to come up on the backside and maybe rappel down to them and be able to get them out that way. It turned out that they could not do that. So they came back, and we got to talking, and we figured we'd go up the route that they originally took. So I had showed them which route that was and showed them footprints, because I had found my son's footprints on how he got to the mountain. They started taking that way, and when they got to the collapsed part, that was the end of that. It was helicopter from there.
Yeah, nothing else that they could do.
Nothing else they could do on foot. No, ma'am.
Let's talk about the moment when they finally came down, and they were just right here at the corner of Stephanie and Simpkins, put on the ground. What was that like?
That was, it was real. It was because they were gone up there, and all we could see was flashes and maybe a little bit of their fire. And then, we watched them get picked up from the mountain. We watched them circle around, and then they landed. And Metro did a really, really good job with their chopper guys and the way they corresponded with SAR down here on the ground. We were pretty happy when he landed.
Amazing how close they can get to those mountain ranges and be able to do it safely. There was conversations and there was text messages sent of kind of your son saying, I want to let you guys know, if I don't make it out of here, this is how I feel. I love you guys. And what was that like? And did you receive those messages? And what was your response?
I did receive those messages, but after doing a survey of my own, because I kind of went on my own foot trail and whatnot to find out exactly where they were located. So that way, if their cell phone had died, at least somebody knew right where they were.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I kind of knew where he was. He might have been worried. I wasn't so worried. As long as he stayed where he was going to be good.
Yeah, and Dad was going to rescue him anyway.
Yeah,
no
I
matter
was.
what.
Well, as soon as the sun came up, I was the first one out here at dawn on my ATVs, trying to find a better route up there.
Yeah.
So I was able to give the intel that I found that morning to the chopper guys that next day, and we got them right to where they needed to be. It was real easy after that.
What was the conversation between you and your wife during this?
She was really worried that he was not going to be able to get down there, with the quickness or even with the chopper. And I was a little worried too, because there was a little ledge behind him and an overhang, so it kind of made it hard to get down in there.
Yeah.
But after getting a side view, I was pretty confident that Metro could get in there.
You gonna talk to Nick now about equipment to bring and things like that in the future? Maybe even taking him out hiking on your own, showing him a little bit of the area.
Yeah, we're going to keep that for later in the future. Right now, I think he's just going to stick to foothills.
There you go.